season 2, right? To a sold out show. We're super excited about that. So I will turn it over to you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Go ahead. I should hear.
Yeah. Thanks for over here. Oh,
See it. 34 million military.
Got you up here, so.
Okay.
Get recorded.
Yeah, you're on the World Wide Web. So you don't have anything that you know.
better. You're joining me.
Oh. And I'm glad to hear you finally got everything all cleaned up, ready to go. I saw
Oh, we're not done.
Oh.
No. Thomas power washing until about midnight. So
Yeah.
this is our 11th season. I'm surprised that we are in our 11th season. It's gone by so fast. And I remember when I first moved to the Lake of the Ozarks, one of the first clubs that I joined was the Rotary. So I give some of our success and all of you good people for helping me get a foundation and helping us grow the theater to what we have it is today. I was in the Campington Rotary. Tom was in what Rotary? Daybreak Rotary. So there's a lot of influence. Yeah.
And one of the things that we utilized early on in the development of the amphitheater was included Rotary, and the Power of Four is doing Pumpkin Chunkin' Palooza. And that was one way. Early on, we did 5 shows a year, 6 shows a year, 7 shows, 8 shows, just that's what we had the capacity to do, had the staffing for, had the financial backing. Bill Carl, the principal owner of the amphitheater, is a no debt type of businessman. And so our marketing or our talent budget for the year was roughly however much he thought he could afford to lose that year. Like it wasn't, now you gamble a little bit because we'll put a show on sale that, may cost us $300,000, $400,000. And you hope that it's going to get to that point. But if, our talent budget, the first couple of years that I started was $200,000 for the entire year, and now we're spending $2 million a year on talent. So it makes a difference in obviously the number of shows that we can bring in and the quality of the shows that we can bring in. And, talking about the number of shows going from 5 shows a year to last year we had 23. This year we should have 23 to 25. We're still booking. If you look at that schedule, the front half of it through July is pretty booked up. And then on the back side of it, there's 6 more shows that are confirmed to be announced yet, 2 of which were yesterday, were for the August 9th date. Is probably the funnest show of summer is going to be Casey and the Sunshine Band with the Village People. So, and if any of you watch the Village People get the response, right? Everybody knows YMCA. We did the Dogwood Parade about a month ago, and part of the set list that we played on there was YMCA. People didn't know that we were going to announce that, but just as I was driving the van and Mary Kay was bringing up the tail end, she likes to watch everything that's going on in the crowd's reaction. And when we played YMCA, the people on the side of the streets were doing the YMCA thing. So, I mean, that's something that's just ingrained in all of us of almost any generation. And so we knew right then that show would be a pretty popular announcement. So we're excited to have that one. And then on September 20th, added to that schedule is the Steve Miller Band, which is one of the ones that I grew up with, Jet Airliner, Abracadabra, and all of the songs that they put out. So, yeah. So just using the facility 25 to 30 times a year has also enhanced, it's success breeds success. And so we've added, there's a couple of shows on there. We did the Food Truck Festival, which was one of, Mary Kay's been wanting to do that for 4 years, and added the Balloon Glow. Did anybody get the chance to make it out to the Balloon Glow? We had 8 hot air balloons from central Missouri around Columbia, Centralia, Lebanon, hometown Lebanon folks were there. but it was, very cool, and you've been wanting to do that since.
2015.
Yeah, since we opened up. You know, and the catalyst for us, I guess last year was COMC did their paint party at the facility. And Bree was able to bring down one balloon to do the night glow, and then we got to talking to them. They're based out of Columbia, and so just back and forth, like, how do we make this happen and all that stuff. So, you know, making those things come to fruition, you know, Palooza or the Balloon Glow or the Food Truck Festival, and Mary Kay's new addition this year.
Oh, we've got a couple of new additions this year. Besides the night glow, we're also bringing sing-along movies to the amphitheater. There'll be Thursday nights in June and July. The first one that we're starting off with is going to be Grease. And we are going to incorporate some contests and fun stuff to go along with the movies. And then also starting at probably the beginning, first weekend of June, we're gonna have a farmer's market at the Ozarks Amphitheater. Also with a made in Missouri only vendor village. So, you know, the property, we've got 80+ acres, and I've said since the beginning, we've got to make the property work for itself, because it can't sustain itself just on 20+ shows a year. So, and you know, Tom and I went to see Red Rocks a couple of years ago, and one of the things that they do is it's open for tours. I don't know if we'll ever get to that point, but it's open. It's owned by the city of Denver, so it's open for tours. But they've got people on the property all the time, and it gives you an opportunity. Even if you don't get to see a concert there, you get to see the venue. Because I'm still surprised when we go places and people that live here, you know, I've never been. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? So, you know, really want to get people familiar with the venue. It is an absolute stunning venue if you've never been there. The acoustics in the venue itself, that's what drew me there. The acoustics are phenomenal. It's always great to see new bands come, to watch the sound engineers walk out on stage and do their obligatory clap and get to see the expression on their face, because the acoustics are amazing. And once they hear the clap and they hear the echo of the clap, you can just see them get excited of, oh, this is gonna be good.
We did a writers round last Thursday, another thing that we've added to the repertoire of just not just concerts, but what that was is 11 local artists. Jared Hicks from here in Camdenton, Jacob Smalley, who's from Maine originally, but he married a gal from Morgan County, so his band is Jacob Smalley and Morgan County Line. Clay Clear out of the Warrensburg area, and several singers, songwriters that have been to Nashville and written songs and just doing their own original Presley wig from here. And just for them given the option, and most of them, you know, haven't made it yet. You know, they play at a lot of smoky bars and a lot of their own PA systems and all that stuff. So give them the opportunity to play, you know, on our stage with the acoustics that we have, with professional sound system and lighting and all of that stuff. And they, you know, set up there and tell why they wrote the song and what it's about. And it ended up being a family themed night. From all of the songs were about mama, daddy, dogs, daughters, you know, girlfriends, yeah, and all of this stuff. So, but it was, you know, that was our inaugural one, and we want to continue to do that and help develop, you know, part of our combined mission is to develop talent. And we get them the opportunity to open in front of some of the national touring artists. Jacob's opening for Trace Atkins this year. Clay's open for ZZ Top and Dwight Yoakam and a lot of those guys. So we always we're pushing Nashville. Trevin Dawson from The Voice. I don't know if he's a 17-year-old kid from Cole Camp that was on The Voice and made it 2 or 3 things through there. We're working real hard to get him to open as the opener for Warren Ziders on our June show there, June 26th, I think it is. So again, that's part of our passion, is to be able to develop local talent as well. You talked about your farmers market.
Any questions?
How much is Thunder Ridge into you guys?
They, you know, Johnny Morris has more money than we'll ever be able to compete with. He did steal 5 shows that we were really excited about.
Yeah.
The first one that comes to mind that was the most painful, because for us, it would have been the most money we've ever spent on a show, and we were either this one or that. And so, I mean, it was like sleepless nights, like, oh my God, can we actually spend this much money on a show? It was Tim McGraw. And then they took Willie Nelson with Bob Dylan. Then they took Alabama. Then they took Kane Brown. And there's 2 other ones that I'm missing. So our mindset is, and I know some of the agents have talked to us too, and they're saying, you just have to wait till the shiny wears off.
Yeah.
And I think also some artists, wanted the opportunity to rub shoulders with Johnny Morse for that potential sponsorship of their tour, that could be available to them. So how I'm attacking this is I'll never be able to compete with his money, but what we can compete with is our customer service. How we treat people. And I know you guys have said, how much you love coming to our venue and the intimate setting of it and the bathroom experiences.
I've been to his fitness center and I he mostly comfortable, but
Seems to be the consensus.
it's cold. In and out. He left early, so that we would be out and
Mhm.
and a healthcare standpoint, as someone's here, and I look at it from an emergency management situation, there was everyone in that center. It,
Yeah.
it's a high that kind of stuff.
Right, and that's what we're learning, and, the question, it's affecting us this year. It certainly is, and that's why, again, and Mary Kay's had this thought process even before all of this, but, it's about the fan experience, and we are an intimate venue, and it's relatively easy to get in and out of compared to venues in the city, or even that one especially. And it just gives us a little bit, more focus to be able to, we didn't get some of the big shows that, we could have had. But again, 2026, it'll come back around and those acts will be available to us. So, we'll make runs at it for 2026.
That's kind of why I asked you, because you see on Facebook, people keep asking you why.
Beat us up.
And I want to give you a chance to get.
Well, and just here's a prime example, and it's not just us. There's another amphitheater down there that's 30 minutes from that facility, Black Oak Mountain, in Lampe. And we know those guys real well, and we're not competitors, we're friends, and we'll send acts to them that we've had that are successful and back and forth, but they had an offer in for Hank Williams Jr. for $400 and some thousand. Hank's one of these, he's getting to the point where he's not getting off his couch very often, and when he does, he's gonna get paid for it. And they had a confirmed date. Yep, this is your date, he's gonna play at Lampe, and Live Nation or whoever's managing the facility down there came in and offered him $650. Now,
It's economics.
from the band's perspective, they don't really care about the fan experience getting in and out of that. They do, trust me, they do. But, we get a $250,000 difference for doing the same thing 30 minutes apart, from a business perspective, what are you gonna take? So those are just some of the things. Yeah, we can't compete with Johnny's money, but the experience that we put out there, I know one of the things that you talked about, people in the area still don't know who we are. That's backhanded compliment and a little bit of a slap in the face is for several years running now, we've won the Lake Lifestyles Best of the Lake for Best Kept Secret.
I don't want to be.
So from the marketing team's perspective, that's not an award you want to win. Now, we also got best venue and best family entertainment area. But on the other side of it, again, it's a backhanded compliment. We don't want to be a best kept secret.
We hide that plaque.
Yeah.
It's a secret.
I look at it from this perspective, though, is the people that vote for us for that really know what is available here and what the you know, what we can do for A, for the local economy, B, for the local population. You know, you can see some of these touring artists without having to go to Kansas City and spend $1,000 for hotel and meals and travel and all of that stuff. That they want us as a best kept secret. You know, it's like the whole lake. You know, it's like once you get here, you want the gate shut behind you. You don't want anybody else on the lake, right? So I take it as a compliment on that side of it.
Well, one of the things too is the Ozarks Amphitheater now, we're two separate organizations. So Tom and I run the facility, we're OZ Operations, and then the concessions is Twin Forks. OZ Operations alone, I have 115 employees. The concessions has 80 employees. So on any given night, like Friday
night,
we will have employed with our employees, plus all of our vendors, our security, all of the fire department, sheriff's department, ambulance, catering, everything that goes with it. We'll have at least 300 people working that night of that show. One of the things too that I've done, and it's to get our employees to buy into the customer service experience for our employees. I've changed all of the job titles for my group. So my parking people are now the welcoming committee. It says it on the back of their shirts. My ticket booth people are the concert concierges. My ushers are the ambassadors of fun. And let's see, the stage crew because they're stellar and can do amazing things. I mean, if you see what the stage looks like before a show, it's just a kind of a metal building, and what they turn it into and how beautiful that stage looks every night with the curtains and it's uplit, it's just gorgeous. I've renamed them Stage Ninjas because they do an amazing job. So, you know, what we've got is amazing. The community support that we have has been stellar since the beginning. And we couldn't do it without you guys. We couldn't do it without your support. And we absolutely love what we do. I think we're adrenaline junkies, as you can kind of tell.
Camden County, based on zip code, use of the credit card used to purchase the ticket, Camden County is our #1 purchaser of tickets. People that live in Camden County and have a mailing address, the zip code that's within Camden County, that's our #1. So that gives us the local support. You had Miller Morgan and Laclede in there, and that's 25% of our business. So we have a good 25% core here locally, and as any business down here at the lake would know, if it wasn't for the lake, if it wasn't for tourism, if it wasn't for vacationers, if it wasn't for second homes, there wouldn't really, you know, RJ wouldn't need this side of the building, you know, he could just get done by what's up front. So then we have Cole, which is Jeff City, Boone County, Columbia, and Springfield. Each one of those is another 5% of our business. So that's 40% within like a 90-minute drive of Lake of the Ozarks. And then outside of that, the other 60% come from anywhere from Denver to Indianapolis, Minneapolis to Little Rock. We have a very large contingent of central United States. And again, a lot of that's because of the second homes and the vacationers and stuff like that come down here.
We do sell to all 50 states.
We sold right at a little over 100,000 tickets last year. You know, this year we're going to be down a little bit because we don't have as many big shows, but then in 26, we'll flip that around and probably bring in 115 to 125,000.
Not a bad secret house.
There isn't, and you know, you were talking about, you know, the stage just being empty, you know, and then all of a sudden it turns into something. You would think for a comedian, you need, you know, a stool, a microphone, and a rug is typically all that's provided. And, you know, we put up our house sound and lights. Well, Nate's crew's coming in and they have 3 tractor trailers, 4 buses, and we're putting up all of their production. This is the first time this has ever happened. So no pressure there. We have limitations on what we call rigging day of show, and that's going all the way to the peak and hanging cables and motors and all of that stuff. We've always, because we don't have the ability to do it rapidly, like a rock show or something like that, we've always rigged it the day before, or Gary Croy, our sound and lights engineer, always got his motors hanging and they just bring their stuff in and put it up. Well, because it's a comedic show, we've got an extra 3 or 4 hours, which, you don't have to sound check the drums and the line, so we're taking the extra time. And so their full-on production show, for a comedian is 3 tractor trailers full of sound and lights and video walls and staging and all of that stuff. So we'll have 18 people there that morning to help load in and then load out later that night. But I haven't checked this morning, but as of yesterday, we were 46 tickets away from being the most tickets ever sold. In last year, So West at 8,012, and we were at 7,966 last night with this one, and opened up about another 70 more seats just so we could get to that record. But we're the smallest venue that Nate, everybody heard of Nate. He's everywhere. He's been on the Today Show, the Tonight Show, all the morning shows, hosting the Grammys, I believe. So he's quite and the nicest thing about it, or the coolest thing about it, is he's selling all of these tickets, and he's a clean comedian. He doesn't cuss. He doesn't talk about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You can take your 8, 9-year-old daughters to it and not have to, worry about them covering their ears, So, and we're selling those tickets in family packs of like 6 and 8, so we know that core family people are coming to this event, which helps me on parking. We're limited on the amount of parking that we have. That's why we limit to about 8,000 tickets sold, is just how many cars can we actually fit on the property.
That parking lot that's new there, that's privately owned by somebody else.
Yeah, Tyler Bishop with the Paint Doctor owns and operates that.
That's it, but they will allow you guys.
Yeah, they park cars there, and there are patrons, and it does gives us, we'll need it for this particular show. So it gives us some flexibility. We rented it last year and operated it. This year I don't have as many shows that I don't need the extra parking for, so it's just a business decision not to throw money at that parking lot.
Well, one of the things too, for Nate Bargatze, I always like to find fun things in their writers. Like when we did the Ted Nugent, in his writer, he wanted, and it was Abbott, bold, large print, homemade chicken noodle soup. He has to have at the end of every concert. So then I started the Yankee Doodle chicken noodle soup contest, where it was all social media driven. People voted for their favorite chicken noodle soup restaurant. And then I took 5 distinguished judges each year. We hosted the contest, and we declared a winner of the best chicken noodle soup, which Butcher Shop won twice. And he got to serve his chicken noodle soup to Ted Nugent. So this year in Nate Bargatze's writer, the first time I've ever seen where the tour suggests an artist gift. I kind of always, and I know there's places that do have gifts to the artists and stuff, but I always look at it as they're in very limited space because they're in a bus. And so how much, crap can you stick in a bus? So they suggest for Nate that he likes jerseys from whatever city he's in. While these are larger metropolitan that usually have professional teams. But we have our own professional team. So the Camdenton Lakers are gifting Nate Bargatze a Lakers jersey. So there'll be a video at 9 o'clock this morning. We got permission from the PR team that we can post it. So there's a video at 9 o'clock this morning with the Lakers and the football team with giving Nate Bargatze a jersey.
So here it is in May, and we got a hold of Coach Pitts and put it all together. And so there's 15 or 20 of the football team in their full jerseys, in their full pads, with their helmets on, in the locker room, and Coach Pitts has given them the talk, their inspirational talk before they go out on the field. And he said, we've added a secret weapon to the team this year, and then he shows the Bargatze shirt. They had a lot of fun filming. Any questions? 8:25.
I think the one other thing, and I know we've talked about it a couple of times, I think we need to touch on is where we plan to go from here. But one of the things that we've had slated that we want to do is to improve what Tom was talking about, to improve the roof structure of the venue. I know the fire kind of set us back and we're finally recovering from that. This year was gonna be a slower year for us, so we didn't want to go into that expense, but you want to touch on that real quick?
Yeah, so basically, what we're limited to, we can hang about 20 to 22,000 pounds, depends on which engineer you talk to. From our roof structure, and most people think, well, that's, that's about 5 cars worth of hanging, but some of these tours want to hang in as much as 60,000 pounds. 35 to 40 is the average, and we can only do 22, so a lot of times we're using our own house sound and lights. And while it looks extremely well to the average person, people that go to T-Mobile Arena and the Dome and stuff like that see a full-on 60,000 pounds of production and gear hanging and lights and video walls and all that stuff, that allows us to step up our game. So we've had the engineering done, we have plans in place, and again, we're going to do it 23 into 24, and then we had a fire. So it's taken us a couple of years to get our bathrooms rebuilt and get the offices. We got a new to us office structure out there. We went from 640 square feet that 4 or 5 of us are working out of right now for this last year to about 2,200 square feet. So we're going bigger. But it's about $1.5 million project to enhance the roof that we have and be able to hang, 60,000 pounds and still be able to rig it day of show, which means we have to get up to that 60-foot level and hang motors and do all of that stuff. That's the next big expansion plan. And then that gives us the opportunity to get bigger, especially the rock acts typically need more of that production. But it allows us to get the bigger shows that, then we're competing directly with Thunder Ridge and stuff like that. Just to give you an idea, their stage was $4 million. Just for their stage. Yeah. I haven't been there, but just looking at it, it does look like it's a good time to me. I don't care who the act is,
Well, thanks for having us.
Mary came up. All right, thank you. You guys up here?